Alright, what's up everybody? It's Pikel with League of Items, and I'm going to do my North American LCS preview. It's going to be very similar to the European one that I did. My goal is to look at how I think the teams are going to finish the season, and when I'm looking at that, I look mostly at talent, not like the swings of like how teams go up and down throughout a split or what they're going to look like in the beginning or anything like that. I'm only concerned with how they're going to finish the split. That is all wrong. Let me do that. So we'll have to fix that. So let's take a look at the standings first. We have Cloud9 in spring, went 17-1, by far the best performing team last season. Then we have EG, 100 Thieves, and FlyQuest at 10-8. TSM at 9-9, Golden Guardians at 8-10, which was actually pretty surprising considering the players they had and what was expected of them going into the split. Golden Guardians, Dig, and Immortals all went 8-10. Team Liquid, the biggest disappointment in maybe the history of League of Legends. They were considered the best team by far in North America going into the split, and everything just went wrong for them. I expect them to bounce back. But just extreme parity in North America. Like, look at that. All these teams separated by, like, 3 games at most. Some people think that it's just, like, the inability for teams to separate themselves from one another. And it's, like, a negative thing for a lot of people. But if everyone's playing well, then it should be fine. Like, I don't know what to make of North America compared to other regions. I think that everyone wants Europe to be better than North America, but if we're looking just at the best teams, it's more matchup driven than anything, and I'm not so convinced. So let's take a look at every team individually, and then at the end we'll look at the first 2 games that are happening on Friday. So first up, Counter Logic Gaming. Counter Logic Gaming has an interesting roster. Let's see what changed from last split. Not much. Okay, so Ruin in the top lane. He's not really a difference maker, in my opinion. He is league average. Wiggly, league average. Pobelter, I love Pobelter. I think he's very entertaining. He's a funny guy, very intelligent. From like his stream and stuff like that. Is he the best mid laner in North America? No. Can he compete with the best mid laners in North America? Yes, definitely. How old is he now? 96. So he's 4 years younger than me. Okay, so there was talk about him when he was like 16 years old, or maybe even younger. Maybe it was like 15 years old. Everybody kind of knew that he was going to be one of the best players in North America for a long time, and they've been correct. He kind of bounced around from team to team, but I think he never really deserved that kind of treatment. But yeah, Pobelter, good player. Stixxay is another player that I think is pretty good in general. He's one of the better North American AD carries. I think that he suffered last split because his team did not play well. He received a lot of flack for that, but I don't really think you can blame... That's like blaming a wide receiver for having a bad season when he had a bad quarterback. It just doesn't make sense. He needs to be put into positions to succeed and be schemed for, and they just failed to do that. Like, extreme. It was an extreme failure. Wind is also there, but I would think that Stixxay starts to begin the season. I haven't heard that he's been kicked off the team or anything like that, so I'm just going to assume Stixxay is still the starter. Yeah, but we will have to watch out for that. So CLG, based off of this, let's take a look at some other teams before we start. Before we start killing anybody and putting them lower. Okay, so Team Liquid, like I said, extremely disappointing. They had Doublelift leave. They had Jat join as the head coach. Kane is still there, so Kane will be more strategic. He's the strategic coach, so hopefully he's more strategic. Jat, I think, is going to bring a good presence to the team. Hopefully he's able to make them a little bit more innovative. He was on the balance team, so he understands the game very, very well from like a actual game system perspective. At least I would hope he did, because he was on the balance team. But yeah, a lot of respect for Jat. I love the content that he used to make. I think that it was a good idea. Who knows if it's going to work out for Team Liquid or not, but I think that their mind is in the right spot, and I am excited to watch what happens this split. I hope that it works, because I just think that'd be a great story to have Jat become a good coach. And he might just be like a facilitator instead of being someone who is dominating conversations in the pre-draft phase or during like their VOD reviews and stuff like that. Maybe he takes a backseat in those situations, but as long as he's informing them, as long as he's giving them good information and they're giving him good information, I think it could be a great combination, great partnership. So I would expect Team Liquid to do better than they did last season. Immortals. We have Soaz, who I can't stand. He is very annoying to look at and to listen to. His play style is annoying. Just an overall annoying guy. I've never met the guy. Maybe he's great, but kind of just annoying. It's just something about him. I don't like it. Xmithy was unceremoniously kicked off of Team Liquid so that they could get Broxa, and that blew up in their face. I think in the long term that will still be the right decision, but results-oriented people are probably like, oh, well, if Team Liquid just kept Xmithy on their roster, everything would have been fine. And that may have been true because of how it like destroyed the chemistry of the team. Like Doublelift was really upset about it, apparently. At least that's what he said. But from like a ability to play the game, Xmithy is not better than Broxa. I think they're both overrated, and they're both similar in terms of skill. They're similar in like, if you had an overall rating, I'd give them a similar overall rating, but the way that they get to the overall rating is very different. And I think Broxa has more upside because he's mechanically a better player than Xmithy. Ica is the mid laner. Ica is not good. No need to talk about him anymore. Altec and Apollo are both the 80 carries. I think that Apollo and Hakuho have a great history together. Altec is similar to Pobelter in that they were extremely young and were thought of as like the next great player in North America, blah, 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 but that never materialized. So I don't like this roster, personally. They will probably end up winning some games that are surprising. That's what happens when you have best of ones in North America. Hakuho. So I'm going to put down, because I know they're going down in my rankings. Dignitas. VIPRE, Acadian, and Dardoch. Froggen. Johnson. Afromoot, and JJ. This isn't right. They changed... I thought they changed more players. So I think VIPRE was not given a fair shot on FlyQuest. I think that he is a better player than Solo and has a higher ceiling. Just a mechanically better player. I think it's more of like an organizational inability to put him in positions to succeed, which is partially his fault, I guess, but you don't buy a Ferrari to drive it 20 miles per hour, is how I look at it. Acadian and Dardoch, I mean, it sucks for them that they have to go into another platoon situation. They're both good enough to be starters on different teams in North America, so that's just kind of unlucky. Froggen is a legacy mid laner, one of the best mid laners of all time. At least that's how he's going to be talked about for the rest of his life. Tough to get rid of him. He's a good core piece. Okay, so I never thought about it like this before, but I don't know if you're familiar with like Andrea Pirlo. He was a central midfielder in Italy for a really long time, and he was still like 41, 42, 43, I think, and still playing at the highest level, and he just like orchestrated everything for his team. And I think that's kind of how the organization views Froggen, because how else would you be able to justify putting someone in the mid lane, which is like the core of your team, the spine of your team, just like in soccer. It's because he's consistent, has a huge champion pool. He does kind of always want to scale to the late game, which is somewhat frustrating for fans, I'm sure, because sometimes there are games against good teams where you just have to play a different style, and he just seems incapable of doing that consistently. Johnson, I was pretty high on Johnson and like Dignitas in general in the beginning of last split. I actually won a lot of money betting on them last season. So I have good feelings towards Dignitas even after Huni leaves, but I doubt they're going to be as good without him. So then they have Aframo and JJ. I think that they'll probably go down. VIPRE is probably closer to Huni in terms of skill than I might want to admit at this point. But they are similar players in that way. They're both very aggressive. So VIPRE, I would think that Acadian probably has the starting job. Dardoch was not the problem for TSM. I think that's very unfair that they are getting rid of him and going to Spica. But I could also see it being a double lift situation where he's like, I'm not playing with Dardoch. Dardoch is insert negative phrase here. Now we have Golden Guardians. So they made an announcement recently that Damonte is coming in for Golden Glue, Haunter, Closer, Damonte, FBI, and Huhi. So their team is pretty interesting. They did a good job getting the most out of their players last year, and I think Closer is like an extremely important part of the team's functioning well, because he can be a carry jungler, and not only can he carry himself, but he can also enable these solo laners to carry the game. So I do think that Haunter and Closer could be a good combination. I think Closer and Damonte could be a good combination, but we haven't seen Haunter like be the best player in the league, like the best top laner in the league very often. And that's kind of what you need in order for this team to succeed. Damonte has gone back and forth between academy teams and professional teams for a while. I think that he is a good player overall, but he's not a difference maker in North America with the other mid laners that are here. So that's pretty difficult to see him winning all of these games for Golden Guardians. Then we have FBI. FBI was a controversial signing last year or a few years ago when he was signed using an import slot, because people think that you need to save an import slot for like the best player from Korea or like the best player from China or just some like arbitrary thing. I think that the FBI thing has worked out? Not really. But I don't think it deserved to get as killed as it did back then. Huhi is an interesting choice to have as their support. They wanted to make the whole Keith thing work, the Ale thing work, but it just didn't. So now Ale is a positional coach. Huhi is a smart player. He used to be a mid laner and would play a lot of the global champions that like Teacherma plays. So I would think of them in a similar way of like how they understand the game and how they can take their lead in their lane and transition it to another place. So I think that from a macro perspective, who he's a very intelligent guy, and that might be somebody you need when you have Haunter, who is probably not a very intelligent person, just based off of what I've seen. Closer, don't know anything about him. DeMonte, I've heard bad things. FBI, I don't know anything about him. So do I think that Huhi can lead the team shot calling and pushing them in the right direction and getting them to be in the right position at the right time? It's worth a shot. I mean, I think that they're probably going to go backwards this season, but that's partially because of who else is in the league and who like is necessarily going to go up. So I might as well put them down. So they're going to be at the bottom of the table. I think TL is going up. I can't justify doing anything besides saying that they're going to go up. TSM. So we have Broken Blade, Spica, Bjergsen, Doublelift, Biofrost. This team, I think, will ultimately be better than they were last season, but I don't think that they should be better than they were last season. So this is the kind of team where I'm always really afraid to like underrate them, because there is so much public love for TSM that the contrarian inside of me just screams like, put them at the bottom of the table. But like, that's just unrealistic. I think they're probably one of the 3 to 4 best teams in North America. Bjergsen is one of the best players in North America. Just a very good player. So we have Broken Blade, who played well for the past 3 splits. Spica played well that one split that he was playing for TSM, and then they got like other players to take his spot and a bunch of weird stuff like that. Doublelift, good player. He's overrated, but he is a good player. And then Biofrost is a good player. I like him. So I think they're going up a little bit. FlyQuest. Okay, so Solo is the top laner full-time. And this is due in large part to the run that they made during playoffs. I love Power of Evil. I think he is a very underrated mid laner globally. I think he deserves to be rated amongst some of the best mid laners in the world, based off of his mechanical. He's not like the best mechanical player in the world, but he is a very good mechanical player, and he also has a more cerebral side to his game. I think that the Orianna changes from last patch make the champion just good enough where it's like overpowered for someone like Power of Evil. So that's definitely a pick I'd watch out for in week 1, unless they have a different read on the meta. Like, that's his comfort champion. That's his best champion. It's in a good spot right now, which is good for him. It's going to be tough to separate these teams at the top. Okay, so Someday, import from Korea. He's been around for a couple of years now in North America. Good player, but hasn't been the best player in North America like I think a lot of people expected. Ryoma, Cody's son, and Stunt. So I don't think Stunt is very good. Cody's son is okay. People talk about him being one of the best North American AD carries ever, and that's more because like North America doesn't have historically good AD carries. Ryoma is another player from from Australia that was like the organization was kind of killed for using an import slot on him. Meteos is okay, not very good. Like I think the playstyle makes sense because you have a carry top laner like Someday, but he's just not good enough. So I would assume that 100 Thieves goes backwards. I'm pretty confident in that one. Evil Geniuses. I love Evil Geniuses. I think that they are a very fun team to support because they play the game the right way and they are very interesting to watch and very interesting to look at their drafts. So Huni, Kumo. No, Kumo's gone. Huni is still a top 5 top laner. Svenskeren, is almost definitely a top 5 jungler. Jizuke, people gave Jizuke a lot of garbage in the beginning of his time with Evil Geniuses, but anybody who paid attention to European the LEC knew that this guy was really good. Like, he's a carry player. His LeBlanc is very good. His Ryze is very good. His Echo is very good. He isn't the traditional kind of AD carry playing Azir, Corki, and like being extremely good at those champions. But the champions that he plays in his wheelhouse are like very strong. Zeyzal and Bang, pretty passive in the laning phase, but they're good players overall. Bang, obviously coming from T1, so he has a great pedigree. Yeah, losing on Azir, not surprising. Yeah, like Ryze, I think Ryze, LeBlanc, Echo, those are really the champions that I have the best memories of for Jizuke. Then, last but not least, Cloud9. So Cloud9 has Licorice, Blabber, Niski, Sven, and Vulcan. So I think it was a huge mistake for TSM to get rid of Sven. Licorice, very good top laner. Blabber, very good jungler. Niski is an overrated mid laner. He is not as good as everybody says he is, but he is good enough to be on a good team. He's league average, in my opinion, and he just benefits from being on a great team. Some people will argue with me that he does help create the leads in the team, but I think it's just because his team is so strong, he can make these aggressive plays that wouldn't necessarily work on other teams. Vulcan is being considered the best support in North America. He had that huge buyout. I don't know if I really buy into him being the best. I think he's in the top tier of supports, which is good enough. So let's see. How do we look at these teams? So let's pull all these guys down. So who can we justify putting up near Cloud9? I think Evil Geniuses definitely deserves to be up there. Yeah, so Cloud9 beat Evil Geniuses in the semifinals. That was really the finals, in my opinion. Whoever won that game was going to beat FlyQuest. So I think I like those two teams. TSM I'd put up there. FlyQuest and 100 Thieves. I'm fine leaving them right underneath, but I do think they're underneath those first 3 teams. It's probably like this. Oh, Team Liquid. I think Team Liquid is better than 100 Thieves and FlyQuest. I think FlyQuest is probably better than 100 Thieves. Golden Guardians is really close to 100 Thieves. I don't know who's starting for support for FlyQuest. I know that they've just picked up JJ. I'm not sure who's starting, though. This looks about right. These divisions aren't as sharp as they were in Europe. Like, I think that CLG against... Like, all these teams are kind of... Can play against each other and, like, stylistically match up with one another and have competitive matches where they're, like, 60-40 or, like, somewhere in the 60-40 range. When we get to these other teams, I think the top teams versus the bottom teams is more like 65-35, 70-30, something like that. And that's basically it for that portion. And then let's take a look at the first 2 games. And then I'll do another video later in the week going over Saturday's matches. Like on Friday, I'll do Saturday's matches. So EG against 100 Thieves. I'll take EG. Bet. No. No value. C9 against FlyQuest. I pick C9. Not betting. No value. So that's it for North America week 1. Well, day 1. They're only gonna have 2 matches on Friday. There will probably be an annoying little slate on DraftKings for these 2 matches. Then we'll have the 5-game slate for Europe. We'll have a 2-game slate for China. Just a lot of good stuff out there. Excited to get this next season underway. I'll be doing Esports Center. I don't know if I'll be doing every game on every Esports Center. I definitely want to do the Chinese matches because they're a lot of fun to watch. I love watching best of 3s. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how much extra time it takes to do that. But thanks for watching. If you like these videos, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch. Consider joining Patreon. I have a new Discord that I'm going to be using to talk to you guys about things that I'm thinking while watching games, while building my lineups, while making my videos, etc., etc., etc. So, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.